Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers. We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together.
Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. Hi, Shelley.
Hello, Lisa.
And today we have a guest with us. Shell, would you like to introduce her for everyone?
Lisa, today we've got a guest. Her name is Leslea Wahl. She's an award-winning author of Catholic teen mysteries. Some of her titles are The Perfect Blind Side, Where You Lead, Into the Spotlight, and Charting the Course. She lives in the beautiful state of Colorado with her husband, and she often writes in cameo appearances for some furry four-legged members of her family. Ha ha. She also likes to review Catholic teen fiction to help other families discover the faith-based books that are out there for their families. Leslie's writing encourages teens to grow in their faith through her many fun adventures. And for more information about her young adult mysteries, you can visit her website at www.lesleawall.com. And we'll spell it at the end of this podcast. So come back or look in the show notes so you know where to go. Hello, Leslea.
Hi, this is so fun to be able to do this. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're so glad you could be here.
After we met back in the spring, and so ever since then I've been following you and enjoying your podcast, so it's fun to actually be a guest.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and you're a victim of our new releasing the videos. So
yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
Hopefully that goes well.
Yes. All right, Shell.
All right. Okay. So
I know you've got a question right off the bat.
Well, Leslea, we wanted to have you on today because you are part of a new anthology that's just been released. And it's from Catholic teen books, which we've never heard of, although I have an almost teenager in the house. So I wanted to learn more about Catholic teen books and this new anthology. See, I can't talk today. That y'all are releasing. So yeah. I'm going to be quiet for a minute.
Yeah, Catholic Teen Books is an organization. There's 17 authors, and we kind of use it to help promote each other's books and work together a bit. So how it started was when my first novel came out, The Perfect Blind Side, I became part of a Facebook page, Books for Catholic Teens. And on there, I met some other folks that were writing books specifically for Catholic teens. And I didn't even know there were other books like that out there. And so I connected with one of the authors, Susan Peak, who writes saint stories. Like she uses the facts of the saints and then incorporates them into like these really cool adventures. So she lives in Kansas. And a homeschool mom contacted us to see if she and I could come present to this homeschooling group in Kansas. So we did, and we had a great time. And we were telling this homeschool families and parents about all the great Catholic teen books that we have that would be perfect for their kids and, have great messages and so forth, but fun stories. And at that meeting, one of the moms said to us, she's like, that sounds really neat, but it would be even better if all those books were in one spot. I could find them in one place. And so we were like, that is a good idea. So we went back home and reached out to some of the other authors that we know. And within the week, we created CatholicTeenBooks.com. And we're still trying to get the word out there. That's always the hardest part of getting it. But we, like I said, we're up to 17 authors, and we are always looking for new people to join us. And we vet every single book to make sure that it's well written and there's nothing against the faith in them. Mm-hmm. And we have a wide range. So from middle grade all the way up to like college age is appropriate. We have lots of genres. So historic, mystery, romance, saints, you name it. We even have some sci-fi, dystopian, so forth. But we just there's so, especially nowadays, it's hard for families to find good books that their kids can learn from, but enjoy, but they don't have anything crazy in them. So we decided that was it's our market audience, and it's been going pretty well. We really enjoy when we work together. We have lots of different features on the site. We have parental guidelines, so you know exactly what's in each of the books. Because obviously, someone in fifth grade, is different than someone about college age. So we have book packs, which are great for schools or even families. And so we have all kinds of different things on the website. And one of the things we like to do is write these anthologies, which are short story collections. And our fifth one you mentioned just came out, but we have one. The first one was called Secrets, Visible and Invisible. They all had some kind of secret in it, obviously. And then there was Gifts, Visible and Invisible, which are all Christmas themed, Advent themed. We have Ashes, which is Lenten themed, Visible and Invisible. And then Treasures, Visible and Invisible, which is kind of a really interesting one. That was the only one that the stories are kind of connected. There's a relic of St. Patrick that goes through each story in different time zones.
Cool.
And now this new one is Shadows, Visible and Invisible. Okay. And it's all about, so perfect for our Halloween time, but it's about, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day. And there's 7 contributing authors in this book, and it's out now, but it's perfect, as these holidays come up.
That's great. So you said there are 7 authors that are doing the anthologies. Is each anthology the same authors group?
Oh, it's a great question. No, we kind of put it out there and see who it fits for, different people are busy. It doesn't always work in their schedule or whatever. And actually, that reminds me of something that we just did this summer. So with the new anthology coming out, we've had it in our mind that it would be really cool if we could have all the contributing authors sign a complete set of the books. So the first 4 books we did this for. So one of the authors, Corinna Turner, is from England. And so she was visiting the United States this summer. And so about 6 or 7 of us met up in Niagara Falls, New York this summer. And cool. It was fun to meet her finally in person. And so those of us, we signed those copies. And then since then, we've been having the anthologies travel around the United States getting signed by different authors, which has been really fun. And the videos are up on our website, catholicteenbooks.com. So it's kind of fun. They stopped at T.M. Gowett lives on a farm in New Hampshire. So she showed off her farm. Katie Huth Jones is in Texas. So the Longhorns were in the background for hers. And, so it was really fun to kind of see these different parts of the country. And they just came back to Colorado where I did a little video. We just posted that one. But now with this new anthology, we're going to use those as a giveaway. So there's still a couple weeks left to sign up for those. And then somebody will get the signed copies of all the anthologies. But to answer your question, so there's different authors and that have contributed even just once sometimes in one of the books, but it's just really fun. And I think they're a great way for families and teens to get a little taste of different author styles, because some of the stories have characters from their previous books there, and so people can kind of, I like that story. I want to read more about that character and so forth. So.
Oh, I like that there's a little bit of crossover from their main books into this anthology. And these are geared towards what age, these anthologies?
Yeah, the anthologies we keep to pretty much anybody. So we take out any of the romance or, the topics that, are for older teens. So that, and they could be, I know a lot of families like to read them together because, the short stories lend themselves for that. You can have like your own little family book club type of thing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I was going to tell you, I love the idea of the engagement you're building with the videos and sending the books around to be signed. And now I'm really curious to go and look up Teen Catholic or CatholicTeenBooks.com and watch them, because I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
I've got the book and I've started reading it, but I didn't know about the engagement on the website. So that's fun.
Oh, good.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that the books were traveling to their location, and you said Texas, and you said the Longhorns, and Shelley and I live in Texas, and I'm sitting there going, "This is my mind." I'm like, what would I post? Like, where would I be? I don't have any Longhorns handy. Like,
Lisa, you'd go to the state park and you'd show all the alligators.
oh, there we go. We do have a lot of alligators where we are in Texas. So
You don't really have alligators in Texas.
no, you don't. But we're on the Gulf, so it's
go.
pretty. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, but I was sitting there going, what would I do, man? How would I find me some of those? But that's fine.
Definitely some states had easier. Teresa Linden was in Ohio, and she just kind of was like, I think I'll just do it at my house because I don't have.
Oh yeah,
She wasn't sure,
Maybe I'd go to the San Jacinto Monument for Texas independence.
There you
And
go.
You can lay under the monument and video straight up. There you have it.
And maybe you guys should take your show on the road around Texas.
There we go. Go show off our great state. Everybody loves Texas. Okay, so you mentioned that this anthology kind of ties in, what was it, All Hallows Eve, All Saints, and All Souls, right? Yeah. And then I think it's referred to as Hallowtide. I think I saw that in your material.
Yeah.
That is something that Shelley and I were talking before we got on the call that never really thought of, maybe I'm clueless, but I've never really thought of those three being tied together in a triduum, like you would say for, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday, like, Easter time. I never thought about those three being really tied together. So how do you approach that in the book?
Yeah.
I've never even heard the word Hallowtide before.
I know. And most of us actually hadn't either. So I'll be honest. But T.M. Gowett was the first one, and because she was really bothered that like Halloween has become this kind of crazy thing, and the origins of it actually come from the Catholic faith, but it's gotten twisted, like a lot of holidays do in the mainstream. Secular society kind of takes over, like with the Easter Bunny and whatnot. So she was the first one to like mention it, and that those three are all together now. Tony was telling me that, I forget which day, maybe All Souls Day used to be a couple months different, and then the church moved it, so they're all three together, like in the Middle Ages. So, we decided the books, the stories, we could each choose whatever we wanted. We could talk about all three holidays. Your story could just focus on one, and we always let the Holy Spirit guide these anthologies, and it's always amazing how it comes out. Nobody's like writing the same kind of thing. They're always very different, and so that's interesting. And some of the traditions, especially on All Hallows Eve, they were some more European traditions from long ago. For instance, on several of the stories, mine included, there's something which was kind of on the basis of trick-or-treating, and it was called souling. And so you would go to neighbors' houses and ask if there was somebody who had recently passed away that you could pray for that soul. And they were soul cakes that they would like make and then give to the people that come to the door. So yes, this was a very popular thing way back in the day. And so we were able to, show a case like the history and where some of these traditions came from, to kind of, show that they have a Catholic background, and kind of reclaim these holidays a bit.
Well, and educate and inform so that it can start to balance out, especially for some families. I know they don't celebrate Halloween, the secular version of Halloween at all. And the secular version evolved out of a lot of these experiences. So it's a very, very popular holiday in our neighborhood, mine.
Yeah.
We get about 1,000 trick-or-treaters. So it's an event.
Well, you could start giving out soul cakes and see if that
Yes.
stems your number of trick-or-treaters
With
you get.
respect, I'll make soul cakes for the family. I'm not making 1,000 soul cakes. We're doing Rice Krispie treats this year. Thank you.
There you go.
They say trick or treat. You hand them a piece of candy, and it has a little "pray for this person" attached. That'd be kind
Now
of cool.
that I kind of like.
Yeah.
We could do that.
We had some, see if I have them here. We had some cards made up about the book, and some of our authors are actually going to hand those out to like the older trick-or-treaters. So, so
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Little marketing with your trick or
Yeah,
treating.
exactly. They'll be like, "What is this?" But who knows? You never know who you reach. And we even have a recipe for soul cakes in the book. So it's just kind of fun. I haven't had a chance to try it, but a couple of the authors did. And they're a little more.
So that brings up the question then:
bakers.
who found the soul cakes recipe?
I think Carolyn Asphalt and T.M. Gowett, they both found some recipes and then kind of tweaked them to make it their own. They had tried them out like, oh, we should add this and that. And apparently, if you have a recipe and then you have 3 changes in it, it's kind of your own. Now, I didn't know that. So, but
I didn't know that either.
I'd like to be a baker, but I'm not really. And my daughter's really good at it. Those Pinterest beautiful pictures. That's her. I'm always the Pinterest fail because I throw it all together too fast.
Me too.
She's like, you got to follow the instructions. I'm like, what? I just want to put it all in.
Yeah, I lost my patience. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm glancing at the recipe right now, and it kind of looks like almost like a biscuit the way it's cut out, but the ingredients speak very much to me of like a banana bread, but without the bananas. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a spice cake.
Oh, I like
with
that.
Cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, something called mace. That one I'm going to have to look up. A pinch of mace, buttermilk, and raisins. And I'm just reading it going, oh, this sounds really good. And I think I will have to make it for this year.
Shelley's handing out soul cakes for trick-or-treating.
I'm not handing out soul cakes. I might go to the neighbors and give them some if they come out.
Yeah, there you go.
How about at the parish trunk or treat? You could do it there.
Could. Maybe I'll just go around and give them to all the cars as a thank you.
There you go.
Another fun tradition, and I wrote about it in my book because I was doing research. My story's set in the 50s, and so I was kind of trying to do a little research on some of the traditions too. And I came across one that they used to carve turnips and put a little candle in it instead of pumpkins. So like, who knew there was all this interesting? And that was more to just kind of light the way. And I think, also honor those who have passed away and those in purgatory. And a lot of the stories do have quite a bit to do with purgatory. And so that's kind of a theme that a lot of teens don't actually ever think about or know much about. And of course, it's more of a Catholic belief and so forth, but part of our faith. But so that was also one that I am a convert, and so some of those things are like I have to study a little bit more about why these things are.
Well, we're both cradle Catholics, and we had to study. I can't speak for Lisa. I had to do a lot of looking into what is purgatory, and I learned it a lot through working with the Life Teen movement, like Edge and Life Teen, and through that, I've actually come to better understand what purgatory is. So I have not read one of the stories that really mentions purgatory, unless you put it in there. And now you said you put it in there.
It didn't probably really mention it to me. It's just kind of
okay. I didn't
praying for the souls. But yeah, some of them have. In fact, T.M. Gowett. So my story is the first in the series, just because it kind of talks a little bit more in timeline of All Hallows Eve, and then T.M. Gowett's is the last story, and it's quite interesting because it's actually from the perspective of a soul in purgatory waiting desperately for prayers from people and
Oh,
so forth.
wow.
So, it's a speculative, obviously, because we don't really know what it's like. But I just think it's really neat that for families and teens to think about that, when they have someone they know who's passed away, that they can continue to help them by praying for them and so forth. So I think, like you
Now
said, these fun stories, but you get to learn a little bit on you.
that theme about praying for souls is definitely throughout each of the stories that I've looked at. So I love your title, Grace and the Grave Robber. And I thought that the grace part obviously was a real nice twist, play on words, but the grave robber part surprised me. It wasn't 100% predictable. And so I give you kudos for that, because I was like, wait, this is going to be, ooh, this was fantastic. So
It's a great way to say that without spoiling. No spoil.
no spoilers. So the other thing I like is what you said about each of these are short stories that families can read together. So they can kind of be like the spooky stories in the dark, but they're not scary. Does that make sense? There's a difference, I think, between spooky and scary at this time of year. And so much of the world wants scary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of another reason we kind of decided to do this, because it was kind of something different than we've done before. Add a little spooky element and and a little supernatural, a bit of what's going on and so forth. And that's okay. It's good to have some different story styles and so forth, so that hopefully, but we didn't want to make it anything terrifying or super scary or anything like that. So hopefully we found that balance.
Well, I'll spoil just the beginning of yours. I like the way you started in the present and had the teenage son trying to decide whether to go and do this was a Halloween party with scary movies, or go into a youth event at the church, a church youth event, where it would be a little bit more wholesome celebration.
Yeah.
Still celebrating,
Exactly.
but maybe not with, those movies, the slasher movies and the things that will wake you up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And those characters, they also are in the Treasures anthology. And I've completed a novel with them. It's actually, thought of it when I was chatting with you guys, since your sisters. It's a story about three siblings and their grandmother, and they are looking for relics of the church on a family vacation. And it's with a publisher right now, so I'm hoping it'll come out eventually. But yeah, the grandma is fun to be able to write. I do the stories, as you said, starts in the present tense, and then she goes into a story about her youth, and so that's been kind of fun to explore that. I always love the intergenerational, aspects of characters. For some reason, it's kind of fun. You can learn from each other and just get a different perspective, I think.
Well, and you're also showing families how to communicate with each other, and that the older generations and the younger generations have things to learn from each other. So,
And commonalities, things that they share, even though they might address them differently or speak about them differently, that they're, it's always fun. I know when I was a kid, to learn that your grandparents were young once. And, actually, the grandmother was a teenage girl once upon a time, because you always think of your grandparents being old,
And they had the same kind of issues, a little different,
Right.
but, faced the same things. So it is fun.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that you have a book about siblings who go on search for relics, because Shelley and I, one of our couple weeks ago podcasts was all about relics and the relics that we saw and experienced in some of our travels. So,
That's right.
so I hope we get to read that book of yours eventually.
Yeah. Hopefully it's one of those that, the publishing world, I like to use a publisher. A lot of our authors also self-publish, which is fine, but for some reason I just like to have that extra support and so forth. And so this book has been written a while and just kind of been making its way, trying to find the right home. So hopefully soon it will be out. You just never know. And and I suppose you've got to give it up to God. He's got a plan for it. So
That's right.
But I do love the aspect of the sibling. So I have three children, and this book is I have three children too. And I just have always their dynamics and their friendships and just all the different parts of sibling relationships. It was fun to explore and touch base on it, and makes for what made. So usually my stories have there's an innocent romance. So this is a kind of a change for me, but it's been really fun to work with this family.
Yeah, we know nothing about having three siblings.
No sibling dynamics.
No sibling. Nothing here. No.
Yeah, we have a brother. We have a brother, so there's actually three of us.
Yeah. Oh,
and then each of us all have three kids. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the dynamics. And I was always fascinated, especially with mine. In fact, I made them a little book one Christmas of like the different things with the middle child, older child, the younger child, and it's so much of it is so true and so funny that you just like, So it's always kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, we have lots of conversations about birth order.
Yeah. Which one's the oldest?
I am Shelley. Shelley, Lisa, and then our brother is the baby. So Lisa's
I'm the middle child.
She's
second
the
daughter,
pivot.
Middle
she
child.
She can go up and she can go down.
Yeah.
So
the middle
I'm
child
also the one that's in the middle trying to get attention.
And fix all the problems, smooth everything out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless it's too smooth, and then I have to poke it to make it.
I'm so glad you said that, and I didn't have to.
It's going too nice. We need to poke the bear here.
No, I think we're finally old
lots
enough.
of huckleberry.
Yeah, I think we're old enough to acknowledge our what do you call your idiosyncrasies?
Yeah.
We're accepting who we are and not apologizing for it. But Lesley, I think you... Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you mentioned that you yourself have a sister.
Yep. It was just the two of us. I have a sister. She's 4 years older. And I wish I could say that I was just a really sweet younger sister, but I was I was quite the pest, I think.
I don't know if sweet and little sister always describe the family relationship. I said always.
Yeah, I look back sometimes and like, oh, I was kind of a brat, but but we get along really well now. So I guess it wasn't too bad.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a sister story that you are able to share?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and we just had, she was so great because she's 4 years older, but she would like play little people and Barbies with me long after she probably would want to, or any of her friends were. So she was very kind with that. And then, she was away through college while I was in high school. So it seemed like those years we were apart a lot. And now we finally live in the same place. But it was more of a recent memory that kind of stuck out to me. So we lost both our parents in 2022, 6 months apart. And when my mom was in hospice, we both just sit there, be with her. And we decided to put on this music station, like on the, a cable channel that was just music. But it was old country music, because we weren't really sure what kind of music my mom liked. It was really weird. We were like, well, Dad always liked country. So we put that on. And it was like the old school, twangy type of stuff. And we just would sing, in this hospice room. And I would come home and tell my husband, and he's like, oh, are you trying to get rid of your mom sooner? And I was thinking, we're like, oh, that's just...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I love that.
He was teasing, but we had it. But, now we have these sweet memories of that time, I don't... So.
I love that.
Oh, sorry. Jinx.
Yeah.
That's
something one of our husbands, I think, would say to us too.
I think that's a really cherished memory, though.
Yes.
I mean, that's a very unique sister thing that I think only sisters understand, that type of connection there, and to be present there at that moment. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's interesting because every families always have some issues or things that come up, but when you get down to it, those are the people that your lifelong friends, the people you've known forever, and they are precious no matter what. So those relationships are really special.
It's true. Your sibling is usually the person you're going to know the longest in your life.
Yeah, I know.
All right. We always ask if you have a go-to saint or one that is, I say, like chasing you down or stalking you. Or Shelley doesn't like that. Saints don't stalk you. I'm like, speak for yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
We are talking about Hallowtide, so they can stalk you for this.
Who is your favorite or go-to saint of the moment right now for you?
I have a little Saint posse, I like to call them. And so, like I said, I did not grow up Catholic, so that whole thing was like,
oh yeah,
unheard of. I had to learn about that. And when I went through RCIA, they actually didn't even have us choose a saint. So I kind of chose one on my own, Saint Paul, the writer. So it seemed to fit. But better story that you mentioned, the saint stalking. So a couple years ago, it was actually on my husband and I, on our 30th anniversary, and at the church we got married in, they were having one of those traveling relic tours, like all these saint relics. So we were like, oh, we should do that. And so we went, and as we were walking around, actually before the priest that was giving that had brought all these, he said, sometimes he did say saint stalking. He said, sometimes they stalk you and they're reaching out to you. So as you're walking around, listen, and, maybe one's calling you. And I had that happen. I was like walking by St. Gemma, and I just had this connection to her picture for some reason. So I'm like, oh, okay, she's calling to me. So I didn't know anything about her, never heard of her. And so got home and, ordered some books about her. And this traveling relic tour went on to Kansas, where my daughter now lives with her husband. And so a couple of weeks later, she went to the same one, and she called. She's like, oh, it was really neat. And I had this one saint reach out to me, St. Gemma. And I'm like, what? So we have the same one. And so that's been really special to me to have that.
Wow.
My daughter and I have that same saint that we kind of connected with. So.
I like that. That's cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know which tour you're talking about, because it came to Houston in December, I think, of 2019, 2018, 2019, something like that. And I remember going there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? And that's probably why I got interested in now have this story with the relics, because it's just kind of a fascinating thing. And like, what a beautiful part of our faith that we get to have these connections that they can help pray for us. And that is one thing I try to do in all my books since I'm a convert, is try to dispel some of the crazy rumors or things about Catholicism, like that we pray, to Mary or these saints. And so I'm like, no, we're asking them to pray for us and help us, so forth.
Yeah, it's that great big community that you're into now, and you don't just have your in-person small group of friends that you can go to and say, "Hey, will you pray for me? I'm going through a tough time." You've got this whole cloud of witnesses in heaven that are like, "Hey, let us help you up here. We'll pray for you."
I like that perspective, that since you're a convert and now writing about, you're writing Catholic type books for people, that you're incorporating some of those things that you've learned, or to help others, know a little bit more. Because I know I've been asked some crazy questions over the years why I do certain things as a Catholic that I'm like, no, that's not true.
I know. Yeah. So it's nice to be able to try to get it straight a little bit.
Exactly. I love that. In a loving way, of course.
Exactly.
Yes.
That reminds me of another story with my sister, hope you don't mind, as a convert. So the first time I went out met my husband somewhere, and then we were going to go on a date, but I didn't want him to know where I lived, because that wouldn't be safe. So anyway, I met him at his mom's house because he was coming from somewhere else. And after the next day, my sister's like, "Oh, how'd it go?" I said, "Oh, good." And they're Christian because they had pictures of Jesus up in their house and the cross. And she's like, "Hold on." She's like, "Was Jesus on the cross?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "They're Catholic." And I was like, "Oh no." Who knows? And I don't know why that was my first thought. And then all these years later, I realized that is the one true Christian faith, that came down directly from Jesus and his disciples. So I had to learn a lot there.
I love that you remember that, though. That's awesome. Yeah. You remember that reaction. That's priceless.
So I get it when people have that. If they don't know about Catholicism, for some reason, it's sad that it's out there that you have this reaction. So that, like I said, trying to work on that because I understand it all too well. So trying to do my part to give some truth.
Okay, I have one more question about your books. Would you just give us a quick, because you talked about the anthology, but you also have quite a few novels of your own. Mm-hmm. And you said some are like clean young adult romance.
Yeah.
Right? And then actually I forgot what the others were. But if you'll just give us a little bit about that,
Sure.
and so that encourage people to check them out.
Yeah, my books they all have so far, except the sibling one, which hasn't been published, but the others are all adventurous mysteries with humor, faith, and romance, clean romance. Which is, I just have this blend that I like. That's the kind of books I like to read, and so that's what I write. And I have a new one coming out at the end of December in plain sight. So, yeah, so there's two different series and then a standalone. So it's just, I just enjoy writing about the teen years. And I don't know, maybe I just never grew up. I don't know, connect with the teens. But, and so the mystery and adventure is really what I kind of focus on.
That sounds like a whole nother podcast, though, to go into writing for that age group.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a little easier when my kids were that age. Now I'm like, now they're older and I don't have teens around. So.
Yeah, you just sounds like you just volunteered to go work with the church in the Life Teen Ed movement so that you can be around middle schoolers and learn all their lingo. And I won't even pretend to try to repeat the words that my 13-year-old son says now because I know I'm going to mess it up. And he's going to do that whole eye roll. Mom.
Yeah, some of the lingo.
Sigma is good, right? Sigma is good.
There's something about Riz, right? I don't know what that is.
The lingo just is crazy. I guess we probably had our own back in the day that our parents were like, what does that mean? Yeah.
Okay. Leslea, thank you so much. I want to give another shout out for where people can go to get your books. Do you want to tell us where they can find you?
Yeah, so my own website is lesliewahl.com. My name's spelled a little different, but I'm sure it'll be in the show notes and so forth. Or the easiest is really catholicteenbooks.com. And there's, if it's about us, I think it is, they have links to all the different authors and their websites and all the books they write. So that kind of is the easiest one to find. And then you can also find the anthologies there.
Yeah, and after looking over this one and talking to you, I'm going to finish this one in time for Halloween. And then I'm feeling like I need to go and look at some of the other anthologies. I love the idea of treasures, that there's one story that everybody picks it up and weaves it through. So this has been fun.
Good.
I may have to pick up a few and donate them to the local schools. So
that's a good idea. And the church library too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So parents can go and get them there.
I think parents pass the word and let people know about our site.
Yeah. I think parents are always looking for a direction or types of books to encourage their young adults, their teens to read, because there's so much bad stuff out there that it's, I love that you are, and with your other fellow writers at Catholic Teen Fiction, like creating this kind of good, wholesome, with a dose of faith works for them to consume, and parents can rest easy.
Yeah, because it is really hard, getting harder all the time to find clean things. Something you think should be fine, then suddenly halfway through has some kind of crazy things. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I had that experience too many times with my own teenagers.
Yeah, I bet.
Leslea, did you also say that the reviews for parents to look at what kind of books have what type of materials in them is also on that website?
Yeah. When you click on a book, it'll have parental guidelines, and so you can click on that and read. Because we do, so especially for the older teens, touch on some things like chastity or something. So sometimes you're looking for that, but other times you're like, no, they don't need to go there yet. So it's good to know what's in them.
Good.
Very helpful.
All right. Well, we didn't plan a closing, did we?
I know. I was about to go. You want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Sorry, the dog has stopped barking for a minute so I can.
They always make it difficult.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Thank you, Leslea, for being here. And we're very excited to share all about your books and your work with all of our listeners. And we encourage everyone to go out there and check it out. And if you have a teen in your life, whether they are your own teen or your grandchild or your godchild or friend of a friend, whatever, check these books out and encourage them to give it a try and to read it. So thank you, Leslea. We appreciate it.
Oh, this has been so much fun. You guys are just a hoot. I love joining you and chatting with you.
We appreciate it. All right. Thank you, listeners, and we will see you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye, y'all.